when rising basketball star Marcus Reed becomes the target of a cunning woman's twisted scheme. His career and reputation hang by a thread. As lies spiral out of control, only his fiercely loyal sister, Emma, fights to uncover the truth. What unfolds is a gripping tale of betrayal, resilience, and the unshakable power of family. The arena thundered with cheers as Marcus Reed, a 24-year-old basketball sensation, nailed a perfect three-pointer from the edge of the court. Standing tall at 6 feet 6 inches with a lean, muscular frame, Marcus had become a household name almost overnight. His incredible work ethic and natural talent had earned him a spot in the National League, and fans from every corner of the country were rooting for the small-town boy who made it big. Born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, Marcus had never forgotten his roots. His childhood was shaped by hard work, modest living, and the unwavering support of his younger sister, Emma. At 20, Emma was a sharp-witted college student who had always been Marcus's confidant and biggest cheerleader. Despite their humble beginnings, the siblings shared a bond that was unshakable. Emma had been there for every win, every injury, and every doubt Marcus had faced on his way to stardom. Now, with lucrative endorsements and a growing fan base, Marcus had reached heights he had only dreamed of. But for all his success, he remained grounded, often crediting his sister as his rock in interviews. "I wouldn't be here without Emma," he'd say with a smile, making sure the world knew that family came first. But fame had its price. Marcus's sudden rise put him in the spotlight, drawing attention not only from admirers, but also from opportunists who saw his success as a chance to advance their own agendas. Among those drawn to Marcus's orbit was Victoria Hayes, a sharp and charismatic woman in her late 40s. Victoria was a prominent figure in sports management circles, known for her ability to navigate the complex world of fame and endorsements. Her polished demeanor and designer wardrobe added to her reputation as someone who could make or break careers. Victoria first approached Marcus at a post-game event, her interest framed as professional admiration. "You've got a rare talent, Marcus," she said, her voice smooth and deliberate. "With someone like me in your corner, there's no limit to what you can achieve." At first, her presence seemed harmless, even flattering. She appeared at games, introduced Marcus to influential people, and offered advice that seemed genuine. "You're a star, Marcus," she'd say, "but stars need guidance to shine their brightest." Marcus, ever humble and polite, appreciated her compliments but didn't fully trust her intentions. He had learned early on to be wary of people who promised too much. Emma, however, was more direct in her skepticism. "She's too smooth," Emma warned one evening after a game. "I don't like the way she looks at you, like you're some sort of trophy." Marcus brushed off his sister's concerns. "She's just doing her job, Emma," he replied. "Besides, I've got nothing to hide." But Victoria's interest in Marcus soon crossed professional boundaries. She began attending not only his games, but also charity events and private gatherings. Her flattery grew more personal, her compliments tinged with something deeper. "You're not just talented, Marcus," she said one evening at a gala. "You're magnetic. People are drawn to you, myself included." Marcus felt a flicker of discomfort but dismissed it as harmless admiration. After all, Victoria had done nothing explicitly wrong. Yet her constant presence began to weigh on him. Unbeknownst to Marcus, Victoria's intentions were far from noble. Behind her polished smile was a woman driven by envy and ambition. Her own career had peaked years ago, and Marcus's success represented an opportunity to reclaim the influence she once held. Emma was the first to notice the cracks in Victoria's facade. "She's always where she doesn't need to be," Emma pointed out. "And those stories about the two of you, she's feeding them to the press." Marcus frowned, showing her a tabloid headline that read, "Basketball's golden boy and his mystery woman. A power couple in the making?" "That's ridiculous," Marcus said. "There's nothing going on." Emma's expression darkened. "She wants there to be. Trust me, Marcus. She's playing a game, and you're the prize." Despite Emma's warnings, Marcus remained hesitant to believe that Victoria had ulterior motives. She was influential and well-connected, exactly the kind of ally most athletes would want. But Emma's intuition wasn't wrong. Behind the scenes, Victoria was orchestrating a plan, one that would entangle Marcus in a web of lies and deceit, threatening not only his career, but also his reputation As Marcus's career soared higher, so too did the shadow Victoria cast over his life. Her motivations, still hidden, hinted at a conflict that would test Marcus's trust, resilience, and the bond he shared with Emma. In the world of fame and ambition, trust was a fragile thing, and Marcus was about to discover just how dangerous misplaced trust could be. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Victoria Hayes knew how to play the long game. With her wealth of experience in the world of sports and media, she carefully crafted a strategy to insinuate herself into Marcus Reed's life in ways that seemed innocent but had sinister undertones. The first step was planting the seeds. She began by strategically positioning herself in public appearances with Marcus. At a charity gala, she lingered near him during photo opportunities, ensuring their proximity suggested more than professionalism. Tabloid headlines followed the next day. Marcus Reed and Victoria Hayes, a romance in the making? Marcus was startled when Emma showed him the articles. "This is ridiculous," he said, frowning at the images of Victoria standing close to him, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. Emma rolled her eyes. "She's doing this on purpose, Marcus. She wants people to believe it." But Victoria wasn't done. She escalated her efforts by fabricating more evidence of their relationship. Using doctored photos, she created images of intimate moments that never happened. Marcus and her sharing a quiet dinner, walking arm in arm at events, and even smiling together in what looked like private settings. These photos began circulating online, fueling speculation. She didn't stop there. Text messages appeared on gossip sites, supposedly from Marcus to Victoria, professing feelings he never had. Victoria even went so far as to leak fake details of their supposed relationship to insiders, ensuring the rumors spread like wildfire. Marcus was blindsided by the storm of attention. What started as a few whispers had grown into a deafening roar. Reporters bombarded him with questions about his relationship with Victoria. Friends and teammates began to ask awkward questions, some offering congratulations while others hinted at disapproval. The narrative took a toll on Marcus's personal life. His longtime friends, who had always trusted him, began to doubt his sincerity. "Why didn't you tell us you were seeing someone?" one friend asked. "I'm not," Marcus replied firmly, his frustration growing. "It's all lies." But the evidence seemed overwhelming. The photos, the texts, the stories, it all painted a picture that was hard to refute. Marcus's denials only fueled public curiosity, with some accusing him of trying to hide the truth. The professional repercussions were equally devastating. Sponsors who had been eager to work with Marcus began to pull back, concerned about the controversy surrounding him. His once pristine reputation was now tainted by rumors of an inappropriate relationship with a woman nearly twice his age. "What's going on, Marcus?" his coach demanded during a tense meeting. "You need to get your house in order. This kind of distraction doesn't fly here." Marcus felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. He was losing control of the narrative, and every attempt to push back only seemed to entangle him further in Victoria's web. For Marcus, the worst part wasn't the media frenzy or the strained professional relationships. It was the growing sense of isolation. The people he had trusted, who had been his support system, now looked at him with doubt. Even Emma, his rock, was struggling to keep him afloat. "Marcus," she said during one of their late-night conversations, "you have to fight this. We can't let her win." "How?" Marcus asked, his voice heavy with defeat. "Everything points to me. No one believes me. Even I don't know how to prove it's all fake." Emma's heart broke at the sight of her brother, the man who had always been her hero, reduced to doubt and despair. She could see the toll it was taking. His sleepless nights, his distracted performance on the court, the way he avoided looking at his phone. Victoria's manipulation had worked perfectly. Marcus, known for his confidence and resilience, was now a shadow of himself. She had effectively isolated him, making him question his own truth and leaving him vulnerable to further exploitation. But while Marcus felt helpless, Emma's resolve only grew stronger. She knew her brother better than anyone, and she refused to let him be destroyed by Victoria's lies. "She's underestimating us," Emma thought, her jaw tightening with determination. "She might think she's won, but this isn't over." Victoria's plan was unfolding exactly as she intended. The fake relationship had taken root, tarnishing Marcus's image and shaking his foundation. But as the lies grew, so did the resolve of those who loved him. In the battle between deceit and truth, Marcus wasn't alone, even if he didn't know it yet. Emma was watching, waiting, and planning her next move. The fight to expose Victoria's lies was only just beginning. Emma Reed had always been the sharpest person in the room, even if others didn't notice it right away. At 20, she was a college student with a natural instinct for spotting lies, a skill she had honed growing up in a world where trust wasn't always a given. To Emma, her older brother Marcus wasn't just her sibling, he was her hero. She had watched him rise from a small-town kid with a dream to a national basketball star, enduring countless struggles along the way. But now, watching Marcus's spirit waver under the weight of the rumors surrounding Victoria Hayes, Emma's protective instincts kicked into overdrive. From the moment Victoria entered their lives, Emma had sensed something was off. The way Victoria inserted herself into Marcus's orbit, the suspicious headlines, the carefully crafted photos, it all felt too calculated. And while Marcus dismissed her concerns as overthinking, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that Victoria was playing a long game. "Marcus, something about her doesn't sit right," Emma said one evening, sitting across from him at their parents' dining table. "Emma, she's just trying to help," Marcus replied, exhaustion evident in his voice. "Not everyone's out to get me." Emma crossed her arms. "Maybe not everyone, but she definitely is. I can feel it." Determined to prove her instincts right, Emma began to dig deeper. She started by revisiting every public rumor and headline about Marcus and Victoria's so-called relationship. With her laptop open late into the night, she combed through gossip articles, cross-referencing dates, locations, and details. The first clue came from a photo, a supposed candid shot of Marcus and Victoria at a romantic dinner. Something about the lighting seemed off, and when Emma enhanced the image, she noticed discrepancies in the shadows. It was subtle, but enough to suggest the photo had been altered. Next were the text messages that had been leaked to the press. The texts were supposedly from Marcus, filled with flirtatious language and plans to meet Victoria in private. But when Emma compared the timestamps to Marcus's calendar, she found a glaring inconsistency. The texts were dated during a game night, a time when Marcus was on the court in front of thousands of fans. Emma's biggest breakthrough came during a deeper dive into Victoria's past. Using social media and public records, she discovered that Victoria had pulled similar stunts before, targeting other high-profile athletes with fabricated relationships. One former athlete even gave a cryptic interview about how Victoria had ruined his life, though he hadn't gone into details. Emma's findings began to form a chilling picture. Victoria wasn't just manipulative, she was calculating and dangerous. With her evidence in hand, Emma confronted Marcus. "Look at this," she said, spreading printed articles and screenshots across the coffee table in his apartment. Marcus sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. "Emma, I don't have time for this." "You don't have time for the truth?" Emma shot back, her frustration bubbling over. "Marcus, she's lying to everyone, including you. She's setting you up, and you're letting her." Marcus's shoulders tensed. "You don't know that. She's been nothing but supportive." "She's been nothing but manipulative," Emma interrupted, her voice rising. "Look at the texts, Marcus. Look at the photos. They're all fake. And this isn't the first time she's done this to someone." Marcus hesitated, his defenses faltering as he glanced at the evidence. But old habits die hard, and his reluctance to believe someone he had trusted was hard to shake. "Emma, this is a lot of speculation. I can't just accuse her without proof." Emma's eyes flashed with anger. "What more proof do you need? She's tearing your life apart and you're too scared to admit it." The room fell silent, the tension thick between them. For the first time in their lives, Emma and Marcus were at odds, each desperate to protect the other but unable to see eye to eye. Emma refused to give up. If Marcus wouldn't fight for himself, she would fight for him. She began piecing together a timeline of Victoria's actions, compiling everything she had found into a cohesive story. She reached out to the former athlete Victoria had targeted, persuading him to share his story. Meanwhile, Marcus's situation continued to worsen. The media frenzy around his supposed relationship with Victoria was affecting his game, his endorsements, and his mental health. Each day, Emma watched her brother retreat further into himself, and her resolve hardened. "This ends now," Emma whispered to herself one night, staring at the photos and notes on her desk. "I'm going to expose her, even if Marcus doesn't believe me." Emma's watchful eye had caught the cracks in Victoria's facade, but exposing the truth would require more than determination. It would take courage, strategy, and the willingness to stand against someone who had mastered the art of deception. As Emma moved forward with her plan, the stakes couldn't have been higher. The battle between truth and lies had begun, and Emma was determined to win. The gossip blogs had a field day. Victoria Hayes, with her carefully orchestrated scheme, ensured that every fabricated detail of her relationship with Marcus Reed reached the widest audience possible. Photos of the two together at events, doctored text messages that painted Marcus as her devoted partner, and even anonymous sources claiming to have seen them on romantic outings were strategically leaked. One morning, Marcus woke up to a trending headline: "Basketball star cheats on his girlfriend with older woman. Marcus Reed's secret life exposed." The article contained fake screenshots of texts where Marcus allegedly confessed his feelings for Victoria and promised to keep their relationship a secret. "I don't even have a girlfriend," Marcus exclaimed, tossing his phone onto the table in frustration. "Doesn't matter," his agent said over the phone. "People believe what they see, Marcus. Sponsors are already calling, and it's not good." Within days, Marcus's endorsement deals began slipping away. A major athletic brand put their contract under review, and a beverage company pulled their advertisements featuring him. Even his team started to distance themselves. While the coach remained supportive, team officials were visibly wary, concerned about the media circus overshadowing their season. "I don't get it," Marcus muttered to Emma during a tense conversation. "I've done nothing wrong, but I'm the one losing everything." "Because she's good at this," Emma replied, her voice sharp with anger. "She's controlling the narrative, and people love a scandal." As the lies snowballed, Marcus found himself at the center of a storm he couldn't control. Fans on social media, once his greatest supporters, turned on him with a vengeance. His accounts were flooded with hateful comments and accusations, branding him a liar, a cheater, and worse. "You're supposed to be a role model," one commenter wrote. "Guess we were wrong about you." The betrayal cut deep. Marcus had spent years building his reputation, not just as a talented athlete, but as a man of integrity. Now, all it took was a few lies from Victoria to shatter everything he'd worked for. He began withdrawing from the world, avoiding public appearances, and skipping press events. Even on the court, his focus wavered. His teammates noticed, his coach noticed, and the media noticed. "Something's wrong with Reed," a sports analyst said during a post-game segment. "He's not playing like himself. This scandal must be taking a toll." And it was. Marcus's mental health began to spiral. He struggled to sleep, haunted by the feeling of being betrayed and cornered. Every time he opened his phone or stepped outside, he felt the weight of judgment pressing down on him. "I don't know how much more of this I can take," he confessed to Emma one evening, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma's heart broke for her brother. She could see the toll the scandal was taking. His slumped posture, the dark circles under his eyes, the way he avoided eye contact even with her. But her sadness quickly turned to determination. "This isn't over, Marcus," she said firmly. "We're going to fight back. I don't care how long it takes." While Marcus felt paralyzed by the scandal, Emma refused to back down. She doubled down on her investigation into Victoria, determined to expose the truth. Emma started by following the trail of leaks, cross-referencing the dates and sources of the fabricated evidence. One particular photo, supposedly showing Marcus and Victoria at an intimate dinner, caught her attention. The restaurant in the background was one she recognized, but the details didn't add up. "That's impossible," she muttered, enlarging the image. Marcus was at a charity game that night. With a growing list of inconsistencies, Emma expanded her search, reaching out to people in Victoria's professional circle. Most were hesitant to speak, but one former assistant hinted at Victoria's history of manipulation. "She knows how to ruin people," the assistant said, her voice shaky over the phone. "She targets men in power, makes it look like they're involved, and then twists it to her advantage. I don't know why she's doing this to Marcus, but it's not the first time. Emma jotted down every detail, her fury building with each revelation. Victoria had crafted a pattern of deceit, and Marcus was her latest victim. But Emma knew exposing her wouldn't be easy. Victoria was influential, experienced, and cunning. Marcus, however, remained hesitant to fight back. "What's the point, Emma?" he asked one evening, his voice heavy with defeat. "She's already ruined me. Even if we prove she's lying, people won't care. They'll just move on to the next scandal." Emma's eyes blazed with anger. "The point is that you deserve the truth to come out, Marcus. You've done nothing wrong, and I'm not going to let her get away with this." Her determination sparked something in Marcus, a flicker of hope he hadn't felt in weeks. He didn't fully believe they could win, but for the first time, he realized he wasn't alone in the fight. Emma's relentless pursuit of the truth brought her face to face with Victoria at a charity event. Dressed to the nines, Victoria looked every bit the polished professional she pretended to be. But Emma saw through the facade. "Enjoying yourself?" Emma asked, her voice sharp as she approached Victoria. Victoria turned, her smile cool and calculated. "Emma, darling, what a surprise." "I know what you're doing," Emma said, stepping closer. "And it's going to end. You might think you've won, but you've underestimated me. And Marcus." Victoria's smile faltered for a split second before she recovered. "I have no idea what you're talking about," she replied, feigning innocence. But Emma wasn't buying it. "You will," she said, her voice firm, "because I'm going to make sure the world knows exactly who you are." The scandal had reached its peak, but so had Emma's resolve. Armed with her growing pile of evidence and an unshakable belief in her brother, she knew the battle was far from over. Marcus wasn't ready to stand on his own just yet, but Emma was more than willing to stand for him. Victoria's lies had pushed Marcus to his breaking point, but Emma's determination to expose the truth would be the turning point. The fight wasn't just about clearing Marcus's name, it was about reclaiming his life and proving that integrity could still triumph over deceit. The stage was set for a showdown, and Emma was ready. Emma Reed's determination to clear her brother Marcus's name had finally paid off. Weeks of sleepless nights, combing through fabricated evidence, and following Victoria Hayes's digital footprints led her to a crucial discovery. It started with the doctored emails. Emma found metadata proving that the supposed romantic exchanges between Marcus and Victoria had been altered. The email timestamps didn't match Marcus's actual schedule, and subtle discrepancies in the formatting confirmed they weren't authentic. Next, Emma uncovered a suspicious financial trail. Using a contact in cybersecurity, she obtained records showing that Victoria had paid a graphic designer to create fake photos of her and Marcus. The invoices were cleverly disguised, but the dates and descriptions pointed directly to the fabricated images that had caused Marcus so much grief. The final nail in the coffin came from a confession. Emma tracked down a former associate of Victoria's, a young man named Ryan, who had worked as her assistant. At first, he was reluctant to talk, but Emma's persistence and genuine plea for justice broke through his hesitation. "She does this all the time," Ryan admitted, his voice trembling. "Victoria finds high-profile targets, makes it look like they're involved with her, and uses the drama to elevate her own status. She doesn't care who she ruins as long as she gets attention." Emma pressed further. "Why Marcus? Why now?" Ryan hesitated before answering. "He's the perfect mark, young, successful, and trusting. Plus, she was bitter about being sidelined in her career. She wanted to make a splash, and Marcus was her ticket." Armed with this damning evidence, Emma knew it was time to confront Victoria and Marcus. The moment was tense and emotionally charged. Emma chose a neutral location, a quiet meeting room at a hotel Marcus often used for media events. She called her brother and Victoria, ensuring they would both be present. Marcus arrived first, his exhaustion evident in the dark circles under his eyes and the slouch in his normally confident posture. "Emma, what's this about?" he asked, his voice heavy with fatigue. "You'll see," Emma replied, her tone clipped but supportive. Moments later, Victoria walked in, exuding her usual air of confidence. She was dressed impeccably in a tailored suit, her smile as polished as ever. "Emma, Marcus," she said warmly, as if nothing was amiss. What's this all about? Emma wasted no time. She pulled out a folder filled with printed emails, financial records, and a signed statement from Ryan. It's about this, she said, spreading the documents across the table. Victoria's smile faltered. What's all this? It's proof, Emma said, her voice steady but firm. Proof that you lied. You manipulated photos, faked emails, and paid people to spread rumors about Marcus. And I've got a witness willing to testify that this is all part of your scheme. Marcus looked at the documents, his eyes darting between the evidence and Victoria's increasingly pale face. Victoria, he said slowly, his voice a mix of disbelief and anger. Is this true? Victoria tried to regain her composure. Marcus, you know me, she said, her tone pleading. This is absurd. She's trying to frame me, Emma scoffed. Frame you? Please. The proof is right here. You've been using Marcus to revive your career and settle whatever personal vendettas you have. Admit it. The room was silent for a long moment. Then Victoria's facade cracked. Fine, she snapped, her voice filled with venom. Yes, I did it. But can you blame me? You've had everything handed to you, Marcus. Fame, fortune, adoration. And what about me? I worked for decades and got tossed aside like I was nothing. As Victoria's confession spilled out, the room grew colder. Her voice was laced with bitterness and jealousy. You have no idea what it's like to be invisible, she said, glaring at Marcus. To watch people like you walk in and get everything I fought for, just because you're young and shiny and new. Marcus's expression hardened. So you decided to destroy me? To ruin everything I've worked for? It wasn't about destroying you, Victoria replied, her voice almost offensive. It was about making people notice me again. You were just convenient. Emma stepped in, her voice cutting through the tension. Convenient? You've humiliated my brother, jeopardized his career, and dragged his name through the mud. And for what? A few headlines? A moment in the spotlight? Victoria's eyes narrowed. You think you're so righteous, don't you? But you're just like everyone else. Blind to the way the world really works. People like me don't get second chances unless we take them. Marcus stood, his towering frame casting a shadow over Victoria. You don't get to justify this, he said, his voice low and firm. You don't get to play the victim when you've hurt so many people. The confrontation left Marcus reeling. On one hand, he was relieved to finally know the truth. On the other, he couldn't believe he had been manipulated so thoroughly by someone he had trusted. He turned to Emma, his voice filled with emotion. Thank you, he said, his eyes glistening. I don't know what I would have done without you. Emma placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. We're not done yet, she said. We have the truth, but now we need to make sure everyone else knows it too. Marcus nodded, his resolve hardening. For the first time in weeks, he felt a spark of hope. The lies that had nearly destroyed him were beginning to unravel, and with Emma by his side, he was ready to reclaim his life. As Marcus and Emma left the room, Victoria sat alone, her perfect world crumbling around her. The evidence against her was undeniable, and she knew it was only a matter of time before her lies were exposed to the public. Her bitterness had driven her to cross every line, and now, she was paying the price. The confrontation marked a turning point not only for Marcus, but also for those who had doubted him. With the truth finally out, he was ready to rebuild his reputation and show the world the strength of his character. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in weeks, Marcus felt like himself again. A fighter, a survivor, and a man determined to rise above the lies. The storm had finally passed. With the lies exposed and Victoria Hayes' manipulations laid bare for the world to see, Marcus Reed could begin piecing his life back together. The media, once hungry to tear him down, now scrambled to report the truth. Headlines shifted from scandalous accusations to triumphant vindication. Marcus Reed clears, his name, rising star overcomes, devastating smear campaign. Supporters who had doubted Marcus slowly began to return, their apologies pouring in through messages, social media, and even public statements. Fellow athletes, fans, and sponsors expressed their solidarity, praising Marcus for his grace under pressure. On the court, Marcus began to shine again. With his focus restored, he delivered one of the best performances of his career during his next game. The roaring crowd, chanting his name, was a reminder that his hard work and talent would always speak louder than any rumor. "It feels good to be back," Marcus said during a post-game interview, his smile genuine for the first time in weeks. "I'm grateful for everyone who stood by me, and for the truth finally coming out." Victoria Hayes, once a respected figure in sports management, now found herself facing the full weight of her actions. The evidence Emma had uncovered was irrefutable, and Victoria's confession during the confrontation sealed her fate. The media turned on her swiftly and mercilessly. Reports of her history of manipulation and deceit painted her as a vindictive opportunist who thrived on exploiting others. Former victims came forward, sharing their own stories of how Victoria had ruined their careers for personal gain. The legal consequences were equally damning. Marcus's team, backed by a powerful legal firm, filed a lawsuit against Victoria for defamation and emotional distress. Sponsors who had severed ties with Marcus began demanding restitution for the damages caused by her lies. Victoria, stripped of her credibility and influence, disappeared from the public eye. Her once bright career was reduced to a cautionary tale about the dangers of greed and manipulation. Through it all, one thing became abundantly clear. The bond between Marcus and Emma had only grown stronger. The ordeal had tested their relationship, but their unwavering support for each other proved unbreakable. "I couldn't have done this without you," Marcus said to Emma one evening, as they sat on the balcony of his apartment, watching the city lights. Emma smiled, her usual sharp wit softened by the warmth in her eyes. "That's what family is for," she replied. "Besides, I knew you were innocent. I just had to make sure the world knew it too." Their shared laughter was a reminder of the resilience they had both shown during the darkest moments. Marcus had learned to lean on his sister, and Emma had proven that her intuition and determination were forces to be reckoned with. As Marcus moved forward, he carried the lessons of the ordeal with him. He became more cautious about the people he allowed into his life, but he didn't let the experience make him cynical. Instead, he used it as motivation to stay true to himself and his values. Emma, too, found new purpose. Inspired by her role in uncovering the truth, she began considering a career in investigative journalism or law, determined to help others who might face similar injustices. Together, they emerged from the ordeal not just as siblings but as a team, stronger, closer, and ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. The lies had almost broken Marcus, but the truth had set him free. With his reputation restored and his support system stronger than ever, Marcus was ready to reclaim his place in the world. Not as a victim, but as a survivor. And this time, nothing would stand in his way. Standing at the podium during a press conference, Marcus Reed took a deep breath. The past months had been some of the most challenging of his life, but they had also revealed his inner strength and the unwavering love of his sister, Emma. "I want to start by thanking someone who has been my rock through all of this," Marcus said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. He glanced toward Emma, sitting in the front row, her proud smile lighting up the room. "My sister, Emma. Without her, I wouldn't be here today, standing tall with my truth intact." The crowd erupted into applause, and Emma wiped away a tear. Marcus used his platform to send a powerful message. "This experience has taught me how important it is to fight for truth and to lean on the people who believe in you. I've also learned the value of protecting your mental health, especially when facing situations that challenge your integrity and self-worth." He announced a new initiative, partnering with organizations to provide support for young athletes dealing with public scrutiny and personal challenges. "No one should have to navigate this alone," Marcus said, "and I'm committed to making sure they don't." As Marcus and Emma walked off the stage together, they reflected on how far they had come. The lies, betrayal, and heartache were behind them, replaced by hope, purpose, and an even stronger bond. The story of Marcus's resilience became an inspiration, a testament to the power of family, the importance of integrity, and the triumph of truth over deceit. In the end, they proved that no matter how dark the moment, the truth always finds a way to shine. If you believe in the triumph of resilience over deceit, don't miss this powerful story. Like, share, and subscribe for more tales that remind us of the strength within us all.